And welcome back once again to the PCS Spring Split Playoffs, the championship here at 1-1. We are currently tied as PSG have managed to find some strength there. A very consistent and controlled performance to take a late scaling game in their favor. Everybody, I'm still Pirate. He's still Clement, of course, and we have hopefully a few more games to go, at least 2 more. I'm personally hoping for a 5-game series, but we'll see. Before we get into the pregame banter, once again, I do want to give another shout-out to our wonderful sponsors. They are, of course, CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, it did seem like PSG, while they went from strength to strength in the 5v5, we saw CFO kind of rely a little bit on some rest flanks. I wonder if they maybe start looking to funnel more resources his way this game.
Yeah, they definitely could. I feel like Rest, given enough ganks, could still overpower, but I do want to say that this time around they are on the blue side, so much lower chances of them getting a counterpick in the top lane, and I think the draft is shaping about hyper carry ADCs. If you are on the blue side, you can ban away the Xayah, and if you trade Jinx for Aphelios, you're still in the lead. You get to push the lane, you get to outscale the Aphelios, and you put PSG in a very difficult position because PSG has not shown the aptitude to actually snowball and play a tempo game. Their last 3 wins have all been beyond 40 minutes. So I think CFO are going to try and corner PSG by actually taking away the scaling comp for themselves.
Well, we'll get to see if your prediction comes through there, Clement. I am really curious myself with this blue side shift up. The Jinx has definitely been a high priority champion all split long, should continue to be so. I would think the Nautilus is probably still a ban champion given how ubiquitous it has been, but it leaves open the door for some other interesting stuff. Mission might have some different picks this time around as that Zoe did not quite do what he needed it to.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to kind of match the bans right here because they are on the red side, so that means Zeri and Syndra are still locked in, and Nautilus is an interesting one. I think they could let the Nautilus go and take it themselves on the red side. That's definitely a possibility here.
That's true.
And on the flip side, I don't think you're going to see much Renata resistance coming in from Koala. We don't really know if he plays this champion well or not, and that's going to be a pretty big X factor coming into some of these drafts, because if he's a good Renata, then your Tahm Kench pick could run into a lot of trouble if you didn't take that into account.
That's true. It does seem like there are very few teams here in the PCS that have used it very well. I mean, I'm really thinking like the side of like Deep Cross Gaming, Woody in particular, showed a lot of propensity on it, but neither of these teams quite so much. I wouldn't put it past Kaiwing to be able to do it if they wanted to try and maybe bait the pick. We'll see as we get underway. This time the Ahri ban blue side for CFO, so I think that might be the giveaway. We already seen a bit of a mix-up. We don't want the Hecarim in. CFO are allowing that one through.
Yeah, I feel like Hecarim is Juhan's best champion. In terms of team fighting, this is the one you want to go for. PSG pretty much on the same track, and I expect CFO to just ban the Rakan here. The Xayah is another option. Oh, they do take the Xayah. So what this means is that CFO get their choice between Jinx and Aphelios, and we all know Jinx the true priority. For PSG, the question is, okay, the Nautilus, or are you going to continue with the Zoe? I definitely feel like the Zoe is going to be let open, and they banned the Tahm Kench. Very interesting.
Okay, so that means if the Jinx is first picked and they decide to go for the Nautilus themselves, it does lower Koala's priority onto, you know, maybe something like the Rakan or the Leona if he wants to go for the hard engage support himself. So thinking about it here, do they want a handshake on the AD carries? Is it more valuable to put Shun on that pop-off AD carry? I think it would be, but the timer ticks away, and it will be the Jinx after all.
Yeah, I think it has to be the Jinx. If you're banning the Xayah, you're basically handshaking Jinx for Aphelios. So there's pretty much to be expected here. There are a couple weird off champions that you could pick into this Jinx pick and still have control of the lane, like the MFs. But I feel like for PSG, since they're so focused on late game, again, their win condition pretty much revolves around getting to 40 minutes into game time. They're just going to stag the Aphelios. They're going to take it here. I have really no doubts in my mind. They pretty much have to. They could consider taking a jungler, but if you're going to pick, you have to pick Aphelios in the first 3 picks anyway. So no surprises here. It will just be the handshake. And for CFO, this is a very interesting spot. This is probably their strongest spot to actually take in to just lock in a winning mid-jungle duo. They could definitely go for that one. Lee Sin has been a little bit risky, and I feel like overall Gemini Volibear, this is his most played throughout playoffs. It's very consistent. The stuns are strong. The early game is strong. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just locks this one in and also bolsters the team fight.
All right, so do they want to give Mission a strong champion here and not risk him being more banned out? I think the answer is yes. They have a lot of other options in the support role, even if the bans happen there as well. The priority seems to be the Victor that PSG had not allowed through since they got pretty thoroughly spanked by it in these team's last matchup. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it from downtown, going for that late game, the damage. It gives them 2 pretty big hyper carries, and there it is.
And we have to remember, this Victor was able to beat out the Orianna in lane, was able to beat out the Ryze in lane. Essentially, all of Bay's champions actually get pushed in by this one. So there's not an easy answer for Bay, and I don't think Bay is someone that is going to pop into the LeBlanc or the Zoes. So he's most likely just going to answer with, I think Ryze is probably his go-to. Maybe Orianna, but either of them are pretty much the same thing here, which is basically just control mage.
All right, so they're going to try and take that matchup for the mid. They do have a chance to, ball deliver in Kaiwing as well. I mean, so it does have some synergy with what they're trying to do at the moment. Of course, batching the 5v5. But CFO, so far, getting the best of this draft, it seems. We in to ban phase 2, though. We'll see what bans continue to go through. I would think Koala continues to be targeted, and he does. The Alistar is off the board. He's not played at this split, but it definitely works in line with the same style of champions that he would want to do. I wonder what's next.
If they ban the Leona, then the next Koala champion in playoffs is actually Bard. So
yeah, or Rakan. I mean, he'd have to go. He'd have to go Enchanters either way. Maybe he can play the Renata. I mean, if he's been holding it, it is the finals. We've seen him play it once, but not with a whole lot of success. I think it's situational, right? If you get dove on, that's the opportunity. You don't want to be the one diving with Renata Glass.
Yeah, I would love the Renata, to be honest, but I have my questions if he actually plays that or not, because we haven't seen it in the playoffs whatsoever. In the playoffs, he's actually only stuck to 3 champions. So his pool is getting hard pinched here, and we're going to find out what Koala actually has. This is going to be very exciting here. I personally think the Rakan's probably the best option.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Rakan works. Yeah. I mean, you have a tanky bear as well. If you put rest on maybe another tank as well. Oh, the Orin ban away against Hanabi, so clearly looking at the value on that one. All right, let's see what PSG decide to round their composition out. It looks like we are heading for 5v5s one way or the other.
Yep, should just be a jungler here. Jarvan is decent. I don't like the Trundle as much. There's no guarantee there's actually going to be a tank in the top side. So going up against solo tank is a little worse. Yeah, Jarvan I think is the best answer. You get the attack speed on Aphelios. That works out really nicely. And it's also teamfight centric. So for CFO, yeah, Rakan I think is the best. Top lane, they want something blind pickable. I'm pretty okay with Jarvan here. I'm sorry, Gragas here. I think it's hard to counter him, and I feel like Jace is a little bit too risky. You don't really want to run Jace, Victor, Jinx against Jarvan. There's too many open targets. So
how do you feel about a GP pick away from Hanabi here? A lot of damage, but then you start to cut your tank potential down.
Yeah, GP is definitely, it's fine, but I feel like it's less consistent.
Ah, there we go. Renekton. Okay. Rest is going to try and split the difference a little bit. He'll have the sustain up through there, and we'll see what the final pick is. Hanabi's going to have an answer. He always does.
Naru's, definitely good, but I feel like PSG have not picked a win condition here. Like, if they go with this one, their win condition is Hanabi split push in the late game. And I'll be honest, that really has not been how PSG won games at all. I think whether Hanabi has been able to split push or not has been completely incidental to the outcome of their actual games. So in this draft, I feel like PSG hit the nail on the head. They did everything I wanted them to do in our post-match discussion from Game 2. They first picked the Jinx, they picked Victor on Blue 3, and yeah, that's all I could ask for. I feel like this is the key to the matchup. You just outscale PSG, and congratulations.
Hey, listening to Coach Clement, it seems. CFO looking good in this draft for PSG. It will be a challenge, but they've stuck to some comfort. They've gotten some takeaways. We'll see if they're able to execute on it. I do think they're going to be pretty reliant on being able to at least neutralize some of these lanes, even if the scaling factor comes into play. I would not put it past CFO to try for a lot of early dives, especially not with the Bully Bear in the hands of Gemini. So I'm going to be watching that bot lane. I'm going to be watching the mid lane as well, even into an Orianna. I mean, Bay has already proved he is somebody that can be stomped on when Mission has his comfort. Even early game, the Victor can still do a lot of damage if he steps too far forward. I would think that this is something that CFO can capitalize on. So I'm not counting it as a quiet early game just yet.
Yeah, I feel like this is a more mid-game centric approach coming in from PSG, The advantages that they do have is that they have a much stronger jousting comp, which means that they can get the first strike in, and if that strike is well positioned enough, it could be devastating. They have the ball delivery system on Jarvan. He can EQR Orianna ultimate, and if you look at the backline coming in from CFO, they don't have a lot of say when Jarvan comes for them. They're very slow. They don't have hard crowd control, so that's definitely a possibility. And also Jarvan can just be unstoppable during the Cataclysm. So I think that's their big advantage, but they have to use it mid-game, and they do not outscale.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be watching for this one. Either way, one of these teams is going to go up to match point here in the PCS Finals. Remember what is on the line. The crown of the region as well as a ticket to MSI 2022 in Busan. PSG are the defending champions. Back. And they're going to try to add one more to the repertoire. But CFO are looking to upset that apple cart for sure.
Yeah, taking a look at the runes right here. I like this from Jarvan. It is the first strike Jarvan. You're kind of a burst assassin anyway, so why not get a little bit more cash in? It's a really fun build, and in the long run, it does usually work out, but it does mean that your early ganks are a little bit lacking. You don't really get that combat stat coming in here. But I like it. It's a nice, fun build. It's a scaling one. And, we have seen it a couple times in the LCK already.
Yeah, I know. It's good to see some of those newer runes coming out to play with some different types of champions, too, because I was getting used to just seeing it only on Corki. Not in this region, mind you, because for whatever reason, the PCS has something against him. It's that mission.
Yeah. Corki's... I feel like he's really good for a lot of teams, but just not in some of these matchups. And what I mean by that is a lot of teams want to scale, but they also want to have some say in the mid game. And that's kind of the only weakness of Corki. Corki gets pushed in basically in all matchups. So even a team like PSG that are dead focused on getting to the late game, they're not likely to go for it. And Juhan, this cheese is going to get spotted out. Level 2, buff to buff start. I love this from CFO, very good awareness, because we did see this from Karsa yesterday in their V5 versus Jingdong matchup, where he was able to get a lot of sneaky ganks off just early using the cross-mac Jarvan.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibility there. So, Juhan, making moves, is going to be spotted on that ward, though, and this is CFO tracking him here. I want to see what they do end up making happen on this blue side for themselves, already getting a push in from Shun and Koala. Gemini with level 3, we would expect him to be going either into that jungle. Ooh, Juhan very low if he finds him.
Ooh, yeah, this could get pretty dicey. Juhan doesn't have his abilities up just yet, but they should be coming here. Really nice positioning. That's pretty much the hardest position. Oh, he just uses EQ. Gemini's going to get a free flash here.
Yeah, he is. Okay, get the stun down into the Sky Splitter, and Juhan is trying to run for the safety of the Orianna. He actually doesn't burn that flash after all, but it was a close call.
Yeah, good job by Bay there to come in and help out his AD carry, but Gemini is doing the camp-to-camp start, just trying to target out Juhan. I think he's a little bit slow on this one, though.
He's getting revenge for last time around. Yeah. Remember, that was the Viego that was actually taking a few camps away from Gemini's lead. Bay's a little low right now, though.
Juhan, I think you're forced. Gemini, I think you're forcing this a little too hard. Just get your scuttle, man. Get your scuttle. You're already down 2 camps.
He doesn't want scuttle. He wants Juhan's life. All right, he'll give it up. Look, sometimes the bad guy gets away.
Yeah, I mean, he still will get ahead just because, he has an open path to double scuttle, and he has more camps on the map there, but a little bit greedy,
Just a bit, but that's okay. I see him coming right back into it, as we've seen both junglers pretty much tracking each other quite a little here. Oh boy, that's going to be the stop on the back of Koala. Ooh. Okay, nicely timed by Unified. That's going to give him the CS advantage.
Yeah, it's actually quite huge in these trades here. Does force another back to start, and that will cost quite a bit of CS here. You do see kind of a cheater recall from Shun. They are running heal, combat sums, trying to stay relatively safe in the bot lane, and just trying to scale up on this one. I don't think they're pushing too hard in this lane. Kind of hard to find the outright kill. Much better with jungle pressure. And now we have a 2v2 happening here. Juhan should get spotted out here. There you go.
All right, on a run. He's got a level disadvantage right now, so it's going to be maybe a little difficult, I want to say. I mean, rocking 2 ruby crystals for the extra HP, but yeah, both junglers really just keeping an eye on one another this game. And this whole series, if I'm honest.
be pretty unlucky for Gemini. Okay, he finally spots one ward. Didn't catch anything with the Scryers. And I will say, because of that interruption, if you look at the bot side, Unified, even though he's on the Aphelios, I think he's going to be able to push this lane. He's Quicksilver, not Quicksilver, sorry, Noon Quiver into the Cull, so he will have a decided advantage in pushing this one.
Mm-hmm. Howing coming into the mid lane as well, and Juhan, they're going to try to set up for the play onto Mission. Here comes Koala to match. He's under vision, though. Juhan might just cut him off if he wants. No, he's just going to let this happen.
Yeah, Koala's sticking very close to the wall so he can prevent the Nautilus from coming in, and he's just trying to hold the wave for his mid laner. Very nice support play coming in here, but he is down in levels, and he has to be careful about that. His wave is also pushing in, which does mean that he's losing more minions than Kaiwing is on this roam. Though Gemini is here unspotted, though. They know Kaiwing is down there, too. This could get very interesting.
Both teams getting real sneaky with it right now, but I'm loving what CFO end up doing when they try to play around the vision. Let's see if they can get anything happening. It doesn't seem to be the case right now. So PSG able to stiff arm a little bit. Kaiwing hits him with the Mad Bee. Some great emote game in the PCS, just going to say it. I mean, Rest is the BM king, but he's definitely been getting some competition this split.
I want to say Rest has been actually getting a pretty good laning face off just because he was able to shove the wave early. He saw that Jarvan was level 2 cross map, and he instantly just shoved the wave to kind of win out the matchup. This is how you want to play the Renekton versus Gnar. It's true you don't have a great late game against the Gnar, and the only advantage you do have in the early is just your shoving potential with your full rage Q. So he's done a good job at keeping his CS ahead, and coming back with boots too. He's actually have a very favorable trading window here against Hanabi, and you can see him go right for Hanabi here. Does win out on it like expected. And this is interesting here for PSG, because PSG do have a much better teamfight combo in my mind. They have the hard engage and tankiness of the Nautilus, plus they have the Ori coming in. Gemini, loses out on the smite.
Oh boy. Gotta love that smite fight. Juhan manages to get at the end, and that's going to be a few members of PSG here moving into place for this first Infernal. I believe this is the first that PSG have actually been able to get first top Dragon in this series. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. 7.5 minutes Infernal up. Yeah, and the next one on the Rift will be a Mountain.
Okay, so we've got the Hextech or the Cloud Soul potentially in the next few rounds, and
could be spicy or not.
Yeah, let's just see if it's I feel like definitely Hextech a little bit more favorable for CFO because they have the range advantage. And just talking about that play a little bit more, it's just the Noon Quiver difference here is pretty massive. They also do get a cheeky play here. This is a trick that PSG love pulling. They feign that they've back, and then they come back and shove another wave. So that's always the PSG special.
Just a little bit more for the play. It's got to play for him.
Yeah.
CFO are going to be able to clear out vision on this Rift Tail. Gemini actually going to start this here. He's got Koala around if he needs him. But Kaiwing is trying to muscle him out. That's going to be the reset. Herald going very far.
Neither AD carry has really shown up, so I think they're playing pretty careful. Ooh.
Cool. Koala forced to flash out of the Jarvan pit. Juhan had 6 on that, and that's the Ignite ticking away. He will be able to tag to Gemini for the safety, but a nice trade there. Ultimate for Summoner Spell of Koala. This is going to open up Herald for PSG Talon. Gemini over the wall once again, going into lane. He could be sandwiched. Finds Kaiwing, forces the flash on that one. There's the hook into the Gnar. The Gnar bar not quite built up. Excuse me, that was Rest. So he tries to get the Dominus on, manages it barely. The first flood goes the way of Gemini, but Rest is traded back immediately. Very chaotic
onto Orianna double.
And the Big Bear gets gnarred into the wall as well. The Chaos Storm chasing Juhan and Hanabi away. Flag and Dragon, that'll be it, a 2-for-1 trade.
That was insane from Rest. He actually stays around and holds onto his Q just to get extra rage there. That's some very ballsy Renekton mechanics right there. The passive is if you fall lower in HP, you actually gain more rage. So he holds onto that, gets the max value out of the heal, and just out-tanks the entire rotation. And it does allow CFO to rotate back in with the Victor, get the Herald off of that play. Massive play from Rest to stay alive for that long.
Yeah, that was huge right now. Rest, I mean, he was so close to dropping down. Let's take a look at the replay again, because Gemini starts off by forcing a flash, and then immediately Rest goes solo, but Dominus on, flash in, and it changes everything.
Oh, he holds on to get the second rage charge. That was absolutely beautiful coming in from him, and a good target selection here by Gemini. He knows that Hanabi's about to go Meganar, so he goes into the back line to finish off the Orianna first, and they win out on the trade. Of course, Jarvan was also missing his ultimate right there. But now PSG do find themselves in a favorable position in this bottom side. If you look at the mid lane here, there's a lot of pressure by this Orianna just disappearing on the map. And there's also a decided level advantage coming in for Unified.
Yeah, that's Noonquiver diff right there. Shouldn't trying to catch back up with the Cole. We'll be able to at least push the wave away, but that's a lot of plates taken by Unified, and he's really feeling himself this series. I think after game number 1, something happened, because Unified has been looking better and better, not just individually, but you know, he's been moving with the team. He's been staying just on the fringe of danger, but well within safety range. I'm curious to see how well he can do on this Aphelios. Kaiwing coming back in the lane. You do see the gold lead. It is in CFO's favor, but it is nowhere near safe, of course. Only about 400. And most of that's more or less negated by the Infernal Dragon. So, Juhan coming in, Gemini already here as well. We could be in for a dive. Oh, flash away. Shun playing with fire there.
Yeah, Shun could just be dead here. Like, Juhan can instantly burst him out, and he does have the Ori ball right next to it. So, it's a very risky situation for Shun. Tips to your AD carries: you should never stand still and try to use your zap right in front of the Nautilus. That has been a very bad play for a lot of Jinxes in the postseason so far.
That's true. Yeah, you know, I was giving praise to Unified for the last couple of games, but Shun himself, he's definitely had some 50-50s. The rookie potentially showing a few nerves himself. Haven't seen this guy lose a whole lot, so yeah, maybe not used to it.
Yeah, this is just the support difference that we're getting right here. Not a lot of pressure being able to be traded in from the Rakan. But if we look across the map, I think CFO in the next team fight are going to be very strong. They do have the stasis already on the Volley Bear, so they can basically just faceplant Gemini into the enemy comp, follow up with Koala, and I think the fight really is about getting the first punch in for both of these teams. If one of them can't find the first strike, it's very difficult for the other to respond correctly, and I think CFO are setting up for this very nicely.
All right, getting a few more plates off of it. And, Juhan chased down by Mission. He's able to get out safely there, though. Really hard to chase the Jarvan down. Turbo Chem Tank on both. And whoa, okay, the all-in. Ultimates on both sides. Chaos Storms and Shockwaves oh my, as Mission limps away on the Victor, but so does Bay. No Flash is holding their nerve there.
Yeah, and this is going to be a decided advantage for PSG, because CFO, they did have a stronger mid-jungle.
Okay, just wide. Nice try, though.
Yep.
That's going to be PSG with another Dragon take here, building up a stack of their own. We'll finally get to answer that burning question, Clement. What kind of rip do we have? And it's a Hex deck. Let's open those gates.
All right, Mission just going to go for another play, but I think PSG traded very well with Bay here. That was a very smart move. They know the mid-jungle is the winning part for CFO. You take that away, you can just start the 3-man Drake right on your own. So well done there. And I feel like this game is, it's going to be about, I think, a lot of Baron plays. I don't think the Drake is going to be the end-all, be-all for either of these teams. But we are getting into that sort of big team fight territory. And it's interesting. I think both of these teams are, pretty close at this point. CFO even has a bit of a gold lead, despite PSG having more pressure on, I think, both sides.
That's true. We'll see if they can maintain it now. Things do change a little bit with mobility now that the X gates have been opened. 14 minutes, no more turret plating. We'll see how the final score was there. 3 down bottom for Unified. It wasn't matched, but of course the 3 plates in the mid off that Rift Herald charge, not to mention 1 by Rest up top. Does mean that relatively gold evens out there, but it's on Unified. He's going to be pretty happy with the difference for himself personally. That's a lot of members of CFO sniffing around. Unified's safe under tower, though. Not a lot that Flying Oyster can get here.
Yeah, good back of the Dragon Pit ward there. Does catch out Victor, so Bay instantly hard pushes the lane. It makes CFO's calculations very difficult here. So CFO, they just go back and start farming this one out once more. And You know, take stock of this situation. This is a Victor versus Orianna matchup that I feel like Bay has actually improved massively upon. This is not how the matchup used to look for Bay. He's done a good job at staying even, but that being said, he's about to get caught out. Flash down.
Okay, flash, but the turnaround, Juhan didn't really have a whole lot of mana to work with there, and I don't think he fancied himself on that Cataclysm, so he doesn't go for it. Might be saving it here if they can bait mission out yet again.
Yeah,
I still has the ult for himself as well, so we got a bit of a skirmish down bot. What was happening there as Kaiwing runs for the hills?
I do like the patience there from PSG. If they trade Shockwave for Stormbringer, I don't actually think it's worth it for them. So they hold on to that one. They know that Gemini has been consistently able to just escape from Shockwaves, and now they have the jungle gone. They have Shun isolated.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's gonna walk into this
he knows. He knows, but he can't do anything about it. We're going to see Gemini coming to the rescue, as is Koala. The Hex Gates may be enough here as they look to set up the dive. Oh, this is a tense moment. Zap. Okay, nobody's there. I think he's going to get out scot-free with this one. Oh, the flash. Never mind. As they take down the tower, but will they be able to follow up on the knock-up? And Kaiwing not really taken very low. Gemini wasn't in position, but he goes for it on the flash. The rocket intercepted by Juhan. Mission coming in as well. We've got a whole on party in the bot lane, but Bay is the one that opens up hostilities here, and Hanabi is coming to the party as he gets knocked up against the wall.
Here comes Rest.
Meanwhile, big overreaction, a slice, a nice, and he manages to cull the meek off that one. Juhan headed for the hills, and the turn for CFO was that much better. Hanabi gets taken down as Gemini takes a bite out of crime. What a turn.
What a massive play coming in for Rest. Flashes forward, save his slice and dice into the back line. And I thought this was a little bit aggressive here, but it does look like because Kaiwing started all of this with the flash to begin with, he wasn't able to escape and did give over that kill there. So very beautiful turn. We're going to watch this one again. We'll see how this one actually starts. I believe we missed it, the flash engage from Kaiwing. Okay, there we go. Shun able to Gale Force off of that, which makes a huge difference. You know, Dredge line completely whiff right there. And this was the part I was feeling a little bit queasy about. I felt like Gemini's play was a little bit too hard on the nose here, and the turnaround does come through. Oh, Gemini able to get away. The Koala isn't so lucky. And here is the big turnaround. Everyone was so focused. Juhan actually mistimes the EQ. And then we have the slice and dice to kill the AD carry.
You just can't forget about Rest. He's had so many hero plays in this one. And sure, he comes late to the party, but in the end, he gets the results. That's what matters. Gemini does get pretty much all the kills in this, though. And you'd much rather have that on Shun. But it will buy him a shiny new set of items. And for the time being, he's in a pretty good position. Gold lead extends to about 2,500. Still no dragons in favor of CFO, but they have a much better map to work with right now, especially after opening up bot tower.
That was such a good play there. I feel like for PSG, unfortunately, that was just raw mechanics, to be honest. Hanabi did not need to die in that one, and they could have been able to save Unified, I think, if the EQ was timed correctly. But, you know, split-second decisions. This is why League of Legends is fun. It's all about who has the faster fingers sometime. And now PSG have a decided advantage going into this Drake. It's already being started out, and CFO, they have to force themselves in quickly.
The Gnar bar is popped. Hanabi forcing some respect here. There's always a Smite Steal potential, but Gemini, he's running in a little bit zoned away from the team. I think this is secured up by PSG. They tried for the rocket, doesn't happen. Shockwave lands, mission goes in. That is going to be the follow-up fight, though, as the quickness. Bay, Chaos Storm, not enough here, as Shun and Mission are locked up in the pit with Juhan. They cannot follow the rest of the team. Mission goes down on the backside as Hanabi is still doing damage in the mini Gnar, and it is an absolutely chaotic fight here.
Before, no way,
they will take that unless Rest can be the hero. He finds one on the Dominus in phase, chasing Kaiwing, looking for another, finally falls, and oh boy, Clement, we have so many close fights.
Yeah, that was a 2 for 3, but PSG come out massively in favor because they do pick up the third Drake there as well. Unfortunately, I think CFO actually just set up for this Drake way too late, huh? I'm not sure about what the rotations were about here, but you saw Hanabi in flanking position. He was at a very good Gnar bar. He's not a viable target for this engage, and CFO really tried to go in after the fact. Gemini took a lot of damage just trying to stay in around the fight to make it happen. So we'll watch this one again. Like, I don't think they were about to follow up on the Shockwave, so Koala sort of overreacts right here, and then you saw Shun Gale Force right into a full Juhan combo with Hanabi to back him up there. So It was a very awkward fight for CFO that nearly turns into disaster, but rest on this Renekton has just been taking names, has his eyes on the prize the entire time, goes for Unified, the correct target over Kaiwing, is at least able to claw back some of the deficit.
Yeah, they get something for their trouble. Not walking home empty-handed, but you have to think that this next dragon is going to be all important here for CFO to cut off. They want to try and get themselves into a scaling game. They have the Victor, they have the Jinx. Right now, though, the gold is sitting on Gemini and Rest, the two champions that fall off the hardest in this composition. So they're going to need to translate what they have.
Exactly, and I think they need to have a winning team fight at this point. It's just been... And I feel like a lot of these objectives were actually contestable, but PSG, once again, I think they just understand macro a little bit better. They understand how to trade their abilities and when to actually get lane shove into the mid lane. So the last two Drakes, I feel like should have been a lot closer for CFO, but they just haven't been able to pull it off.
Look at that. Mission goes for a demonic embrace buy right now. Getting himself his second item, and we'll see if it's going to help him out more and more here. Tower taken by PSG topside just about. Hanabi, finishes the job. Mission with the chase down. Chaos Storm, he wants to 1v1 this. Oh, Mission says, if I can't get kills fed to me, I will take them myself.
Yeah, Hanabi trying to outplay and get his Mega Narbar, but he definitely underestimated the amount of damage that the Demonic Embrace can do. Just shreds through the percent HP right there, and wow, that is going to change things. That means that, this top lane with a Hull Breaker is not going to be so useful as Mission can match him.
Yeah, holy moly. Mission just... I mean, I talked about how, like, a lot of the gold was sitting on the non-carries, and then I looked over and I'm like, oh, wait, no, Mission's got 3 kills. It's fine.
You forgot about Mission.
You can't. That's the critical mistake. I've got 80 carry brain, man. I look at the Jinx and I'm like, oh, no, but wait, Mission's got 3 kills.
This is getting very interesting. I feel like PSG, they still get so much value if they get Quad Drakes. The Quad Drakes is just absolutely insane. Every one of them is quite useful. So even though CFO have a 2,000 gold lead, I think in raw values, PSG are definitely still ahead in this one. And it's going to come down even more to scaling. I think, this is a pretty good build by Mission. He knows he's vulnerable to the engage just from Hanabi and Juhan. It's very difficult for him to avoid that one. And those two champions are stacking HP. They don't have any resistances, so Demonic Embrace makes a lot of sense here.
Good adaptation on the fly. 58 seconds till the next dragon will spawn. CFO can't afford to give this one away right now. They'd love to at least pick up a Hex Tech of their own. PSG been much better at controlling the Dragon Pit on the red side this series. And this is their first game on the red side this game, I should say. But CFO have an inside track here, and I don't think they're really strong enough to try and handshake for the Baron. Definitely want to keep your eyes on Rest, though, because he's had the hero plays, and his window has not closed yet. Okay, Moonlight Vigil lands on Gemini. Does manage to get the root down onto Shun, but that ability has been used. Inside track will be able to clear away this tower. CFO might just have to sack this here. Although they go for the engage, finding Kaiwing. That's not who you want. And they reset.
Ooh, CFO misplay pretty hard here. They actually leave the mid lane a tad too early. Leave it completely open. And yeah, Hanabi's pretty happy to walk into this one. So they have to make this Drake work. But on the other hand, PSG is already thinking about the next plan. They're heading straight for Baron.
Yeah, they might actually be able to do this because of the timing window that's been allowed here by CFO. That dragon hasn't quite gone down. They are just going to force the trade out. Shun and Mission can clear it. Can they interrupt in time? Rocket's going to fly. No, they're already off of it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
PSG playing it safe.
I feel like PSG miscalculated one point. They didn't have the correct guns to actually take down. You really want the Shakarans and Onslaught Severum to take down objectives really quickly, but the guns that they had were AoE guns and Gravitum. So, probably the worst guns you want if you want to rush down Baron, and they realized that a little bit too late, but they still make, CFO feel pretty dangerous about that one. I would say overall, I think CFO come away a little bit happier with that trade in the end.
Buying a little more time on the Drake stack as well, and now they get a Hex Tech for themselves. They can try to contest a little bit more earnestly. I mean, keeping your eye on the window, right, for the 80 carries especially. We're looking at 3 items. Now they're a little bit closer to even, despite the kill that Unified have been able to pick up in this game. Shun hasn't died. Of course, the coal gets sold, and he's able to at least get some gold back on that side. But of course, like, Mission has a lot of damage here. This is something you have to respect. Now, if you're PSG in the straight up 5v5, you need to get the dive on, you need to get the play. I mean, Juhan did a great job in that last Dragon fight by locking both of the carries in the pit. But also, it was kind of allowed by CFO's backline just kind of leaving him out to dry. But I don't know if that's going to happen again.
Yeah, I feel like front to back, they should feel very comfortable. At this point, Renekton and Gemini are incredibly tanky right now. We saw the Gore Drinker in the backline is going to keep Rest alive for a very, very long time. I don't think that PSG can actually out-tank frontline. If they go full-on front to back, I do expect CFO to win. But CFO have to be in position. That's always been the big issue right here. I feel like every objective fight, PSG has been able to inch away with small advantages, either just taking mid lane for free or taking Drakes for free, etc., etc. So we will see about the setup here, and I think it is starting to turn into a PSG sort of, this is the territory I feel like PSG is a lot more familiar than CFO. The way CFO usually plays out their late game is, Rest, you do your thing, we're going to wave clear in the mid and wait for late.
And it works when they can drag PSG around the map, right, and create chaos. But if there's a 5-stack, it's not quite as effective. And, there's extra mobility from those Hex Gates, so all bets are off, I feel. CFO in the mid, trying to set up on that front to back if they can. Big wave clear here.
Yeah, I feel like both teams are just trying to find opportunistic picks here. Like I said, it's going to come down to who engages first, and PSG definitely has the lead.
Oh, force the engage off the Boulevard, interrupted it here! It's a massive shockwave! The rocket splits the uprights, and Gemini is gone before you can blink. Hanabi into the back. They do manage to get the stomp down onto Mission, but they're not out of this one just yet. The Flash, Rest trying to tank through it all. Almost takes down Bay in the back, but it is not going to be enough. And PSG, battered and bruised, but they stand tall, knocking down 2.
What a good understanding of their composition. I said the biggest advantage PSG have is their jousting potential, that they can get the first strike in. They find the jungler who holds the smite, and then they sandwich him from 2 sides. Nautilus Hook comes out from the side. They tag on to Gemini right at the start. And the backline right now, Shun doesn't have the armor penetration just yet. He can't cut through the front line. So if CFO's front line just, allows PSG to wail on them for free, they're still going to win this one. We're going to watch this one again. And I feel like for CFO,
That war was fake.
Yeah, what they should understand about this one is they just need to stop PSG from starting on it. They don't need to do anything else. They take a very, very risky attempt right in front of PSG to try and clear the ward. And that's not what their comp is set up for. They're running this Rakan, they're running this Renekton, and Renekton's just getting kited out in the late game to be expected. Koala can't really do anything on the counter engage. Hanabi, perfect rage into the backline. They burned the majority of summoners away from CFO as well. What a great play from PSG. That was beautiful to watch. And now I think PSG with this Baron can just chain it into a very easy Hexexel.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for CFO to contest without a lot of those crucial summoners. Rest's flash, Mission's flash, Shun's heal, as well as Ignite. Maybe back up in time for that one. Not in 37 seconds, never mind. But Bay and Juhan going to be making the 2-man push down, get a few minions here onto this inner turret. That's more golden fusion. Remember, they want to get to those 3-item spikes for the AD carries. It looks like it's going to be faster here for Unified. And now it is going to be the PSG setup around the back of the Baron Pit. 20 seconds and counting. Or Dragon Pit, I should say.
Yeah, PSG has this one on lockdown. I feel like CFO can't even really contest at this point. They know the potential for the backline to engage, and Mission doesn't have the resources to really survive through this one, so they're forced onto wave clear duty.
All right, well, that's going to be the soul going the way of PSG. For CFO, still going to try to rely on the later stages of the game. Nice rocket, but it's very easily sniffed out and tanked. Soul secured. PSG talent.
Beautiful play from PSG so far. I have to say, PSG are... I think they're just the smarter team in most cases. They have so much experience with dealing with these objective situations, while CFO does tend to make some weird moves around objectives. Either just showing up late, or just like doing very risky clears across the board. I feel like a huge thing is if CFO don't get a champion where they can actually clear wards with their support, they do tend to come into these situations playing very risky. I feel like Koala, if he was on Alistar or the Nautilus, he would be a little bit more competent to be the ones actually just placing himself as the sacrificial lamb. That being said, though, we do have to still remind everyone, in my eyes, CFO's late game does have more potential because their carries hurt a lot more. So there's definitely still potential for like just a one-shot to happen. But for now, I think PSG are doing the smart thing. They're using the Baron to maximum advantage, just trying to split here. And that also gives maximum advantage to the Hextech Soul, as you can slow people down, stop them from rotating. They should be able to pick up another 2,000 gold.
Yep, one tower knocked down in top. You see Hanabi continuing to go for the split push game. Rest gonna have a hard time contesting him. Actually has a 2-level disadvantage here. And that mid-tier 2 is about to go down as well. Not a lot that they can do. Unified on that front line, still feeling himself. You can see Gemini looking for an angle, but won't be able to find it too easily. I think they'll even crack base on this if they want to rotate for it. So much control, and the vision always follows. PSG are just so good at laying down these wards.
Yeah, I feel like Gemini might be forcing himself into engage. He knows that he's unspotted right here, but finding Unified is going to be relatively difficult. Oh, he shows himself.
They know. They know, and they don't care. That's another inner tower. PSG just getting a huge gold infusion here, just going on a slow rift around, a slow tour around the rift, I should say.
And this is kind of the danger of CFO trying to outscale because, well, their objective game hasn't really been on par. PSG able to outsmart, rotate here. I feel like PSG, their coaching staff is just telling them, hey, if you guys just don't fight CFO early on, you know, we have the big brain plays later game. So
yeah, it's brains versus brawn.
Exactly, and I think if we look at the next objective right here, PSG still have a pretty strong spot to play through. They haven't cracked the base necessarily, but there's going to be staggered objectives, meaning that PSG can focus on one side, and CFO have to respond. That's going to be super dangerous because ideally CFO do want to split the map. They don't want to play up against the just the wombo potential here from PSG. If you walk into Moonlight Vigil, Cataclysm and Shockwave, you're just instantly wiped in the backline. So
not to mention a Hanabi ult. I mean that can really ruin your day if he manages to find a multiple man Gnar.
Not much for CFO to really play around at this point. We do have the Baron up in 1 minute, so very interesting to see what they do. I think they need to hold on to their balloon trinkets. Number one, they need to be able to call off bluffs, and they also need to figure out how they want to clear wards, because whoever goes in first is going to have a very hard time. I'm trying to look for stasis in their front line, and they just aren't there.
Yeah, the Volibear is definitely built a little bit more to kind of run in, not necessarily to do much after he's made the big play. And you know, Renekton, of course, going for the full tank after the Gore Drinker, as is to be expected, trying to be a big old stat stick. But Gemini, after those early kills, hasn't really been able to pick up much more gold for himself. The only Zhonya's, the only stopwatch we really have right now is on mission. And if he's hitting that, something may have gone wrong.
Yep, and we do have Mission going for the MR builds as well, and really like this coming in from him. He is going to be able to lane quite comfortably against the Victor. And, yep, PSG already setting up this space. This is really hard for CFO to play against. They have no backline wards. Maybe the top ward will be an anchor point for Rest to TP in. And we are seeing this pink on the other side of the map. So if Unified comes a little bit too far forward, that could potentially be a way in. Looks like PSG are just going to start this one.
Yeah, 3 members on it right now. They know that Hanabi's not with. It doesn't really matter. Unified hadn't actually joined the squad just yet. And PSG kind of give it up a little early here as they are searching for Koala as they peel off. But Hanabi's becoming a real hard split pusher. Rest still doesn't really have the way to turn him away. Still a 2-level difference right now on that side lane. So they actually send Shun back. I don't think he's going to defend this, though. And PSG right back to the Baron.
Yeah, and we have to remember Hanabi's under 0 threat right now because he does have that Hextech Soul that makes it so difficult for people to chase down in. CFO, I don't think Gemini can even survive the burst at this point. If he goes down, it's instant turn into Drake, so I think it has to be someone else. I think Koala has to be the one to pop his head.
They need to choose the engage. PSG, I mean, they've made it very clear that they want the fight right now, and there's going to be an Elder on the table as well in about 45 seconds, so the Baron, kind of an objective they're playing around, but they have not seen the need to commit to it. Maybe this time it's different with the zone away, and it seems like with the Victor moving down, but no, the teleport's going to come through. I think Hanabi is just out. This is a debate.
Yeah, they actually get completely outplayed here from CFO side. That's way too late on the response. And
Gemini's caught. Oh, has to use that Stormbringer to get out of harm's way. Still close on the front line, and PSG looking to chase. They are going to go from objective to objective. Teleport comes through in here for Bay. Wave clear, but it's not enough against that Baron empowerment right now. And Rest, oh, he gets tanked up by the edge of that hit. Juhan going in, gets the dunk down onto Mission. There's no follow-up damage here. Maybe they can make something happen in the back line. Hanabi nearly has that Meganar.
Oh, he finds a
three-man shove back, and that is going to be a big old shutdown into the pocket of Unified. A triple kill off the back of it, and they can clean up everyone but Mission. I think it's just a matter of time as he goes into stasis to buy a few more seconds. Good night, and that is going to be the pushdown for PSG Town.
What a beautiful team fight right there. They're so patient with that one, and they find the Renekton out of nowhere. 2 flashes unused in the front line. They just can't do anything. The slow from the Hexaxol also just great. PSG with a strong, solid macro game performance to take this one away from CFO. This one is a very interesting showcase of just like the strengths of PSG. I feel like when they win, it's nothing that's super explosive, but it's just so well calculated. And CFO, I think they need to go back into the drawing board a little here. They did the correct thing in going for the late game, but they left themselves open to the macro outplay because they didn't have a strong lane to play through. None of these lanes actually ended up winning, and they were pushed, not pushed in, but they didn't have any position to really funnel their energy and try to play forward with.
They didn't really get to choose their own engages, too. I mean, it was just PSG controlling the map incredibly well and baiting around the objectives. I think the draft was really, really brilliant to put Koala on a more Enchanter-like champion. You really called out how it wasn't very safe for him to ward. You needed Gemini to be in the front line, and I mean, the problem with Gemini is, even though the rest of the team was scaling up into late, that Volibear was falling off. He wasn't able to do much. As you mentioned, he didn't have the stasis. And sure, there's the threat of Mission, there's the threat of Shun, but they never really got to do the free hitting, the lasers, the rockets that they would have liked. And
yeah,
it didn't matter at the end of the day. So PSG just handled them for another game here. They go to match point 2-1. And CFO, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board yet again.
Yeah, this is so interesting because I feel like what CFO are slowly figuring out is they need some more explosiveness in the early game for sure. I'll tell you about the way that PSG has lost their games. In the games they lost, they have 0 Barons and only 10% of the Dragon controls. So if you keep that in mind and you think about what's actually happened, that means if you have a strong early game, you can just blow blow PSG up, but you have to stick very, very low to the ground. In this one, and I felt like the draft was fine here. I didn't like the Renekton, to be completely honest. Even though he was able to get a lot done, I think the Renekton, it just doesn't do enough late game. It's not that tanky compared to a Gragas. It doesn't have outplay potential like the explosive cask, and it also just doesn't split push. So the Renekton was a very questionable pick. If they had the Renekton, they would also have another very strong source of engage. So if they tweak that, I think this is still a somewhat playable draft to run it that way.
Mm-hmm. I also think that there was a bit of missed opportunity there from Gemini to try and get the lane snowballed ahead a little bit. We didn't really see him down bot until he was matched by Juhan, because he was so focused on trying to get the counter jungle. You talked about how he sort of forced a little too hard early. I mean, yeah, it wasn't that punishing at the end of the day, but I think if you pick a Volibear, you really want to be hitting that R button on the bot tower at some point, especially if you want to snowball Shun. He barely got a chance to get the kills at the end of the day, and I think we've seen PSG find a way to handle this hotshot rookie, and he hasn't had a big impact for 2 games in a row now.
Yeah, it's really smart, and it's on a lot of these micro decisions that are this difference is actually being split here. So what PSG did to control the lane is they actually just stopped backs again and again. They stopped backs, they came back with a better item, and the other side had to come back with a call, and they were able to just take the matchup away. So kind of interesting. That's the veterancy coming in.
I think I want to see a first pick Nautilus coming in here if they take blue side again. I feel like you can take Aphelios or Jinx, it's okay, but you need the Nautilus for Koala because PSG are going to keep banning this guy, man. There is the gold game. It started to fall off pretty heavily in favor of PSG at about that 27-minute mark, and ooh, look at that Aphelios damage. Just about everybody on the opposite side out damaged with the exception of the Victor, which isn't really a fair comparison to be honest, but really well played by PSG. Smart decision-making across the board.
Yeah, I when PSG win, I just feel comfortable watching their games. Their games make a lot of sense. If I'm a coach, I would take PSG 100% of the times over CFO because I think CFO is much harder to control. Well, PSG is, yeah, you kind of know what you get. They're consistent.
Yeah.
They're
So
and
it's like an LPL team versus an LCK team, you know?
yeah, that's what it feels like, and that's why we've been talking about CFO's win cons a lot more because CFO are the ones that I feel like they need some special sauce here. And the MVP goes to Kai Wei. You know, wins his lane.
Hook City, baby.
Oh, that one on Renekton was so good because the angle actually split Mission apart. Mission wasn't able to deal damage to any of the backline, and he didn't get a tank in front of him where he could actually dish out damage. The other side of that meant that Hanabi was able to survive 1v1 against the Jinx just wailing on him, able to get the Meganar into the triple push.
Absolutely. Oh, Kaiwing really doing work. I do think the supports are incredibly impactful when they are on an engaging champion. This Nautilus shall continue to be very, very heavily contested, you have to think, and PSG just know how to play around the engages, the setups, the follow-ups, and everything. So really well earned on that as they go up 2-1 on the series.
Yeah, it's going to get really interesting. I think a lot of these personal player histories are going to come into account right here because for many of them, they have been denied going to MSI because of PSG. PSG were always the gatekeepers in this one. Rest has wanted to go, Mission has wanted to go, and PSG plus Flash Wolves has just said no.
Over and over, well, maybe they can turn the tides, but they would need to take 2 wins in a row. We'll find out if they can start that journey right after this break.